or like works late or something.
Yeah, I think they're all except for one is going right now.
Nice.
Like, I think the only one not going is the Cowboys one, maybe? Yeah, Cowboys Seahawks is the only one that hasn't started.
Mm-hmm.
We've got two results. We've got New England squeaking it out and San Francisco beating Philly. So, all right.
Vince is gonna be really mad that Lawrence didn't make all rookie.
I mean, he can hear you now, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We didn't say anything.
As soon as I don't know how many people are in here right now.
I'll pull it up.
One at least. One, and it might be me on my laptop. So
Yeah.
because I switched over to it because I just realized I didn't follow the official Twitch. So I was like, I should probably do that. That's really bad. I'm on the CM team and I'm not following the official Twitch.
I may or may not have just done the same thing. Oops.
I didn't even realize.
There's 3 people in here. I'm assuming one is me on my laptop, one's you on your laptop.
Yep, that seems to be. I wonder who the third is. Could be Cody watching from
This tractor.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't overturn it again.
Did you do that?
I didn't know he broke something yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, Winston.
Yeah. Him and the other dog are.
It's early still.
They're playing. They're playing with one of my wife's socks. Oh wait, that's my sock.
Pretty sure we got Pode in here.
Okay.
It's Will and Pode.
Awesome.
So we got 4. Let's go ahead and go over the playoff games since they might all be done by the time we can go over the 2 that finished right away.
Right. Sure. That's fine.
All right, guys. So welcome to the playoff preview, review, and all pro, all rookie podcast. So I'm Kyle. Sam's here as usual.
What's up, everybody? It's gonna be fun.
So we got our first 2 playoff games done. We have New England barely squeaking out a win against the Broncos, a game that Cody probably should have lost if not for the 4 turnovers by the Broncos. Because they got outplayed here pretty handily.
Yes, they did. But
rookie's gonna rookie, and Fields threw 2 interceptions. So
yeah, still impressive that the Broncos even made it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest,
7 sacks for the Broncos also doesn't help.
Yeah, I think we kind of took a look at like that offensive line. We kind of knew going into it wasn't that good.
Yeah, for sure. Le'Veon Bell paying off for Cody there. Yeah, it's just it's
What's
rough
new?
because Trey Flowers and Nicole Roby-Coleman, those are guys who Cody traded for. So congrats to Cody moving on to the second round. Not a surprise. It's actually a surprise he had to play in Wild Card Weekend, but
For sure. You want to do 49ers Eagles next?
Yep, and this was, just looking at the stats, this came down to the Eagles were just outmanned. They got outgained by 100 yards, and the rushing total is where it really shows. They got outgained by 107 yards.
Oof.
And then they had 2 turnovers.
That's not too surprising, given Chris's rushing attack is arguably at least the second best in the league behind Cody.
Yeah.
So you knew rushing was going to be a big factor. Yeah, not a bad.
And, old man Joe Hayden had a pick, so
Surely that dude's got to retire after this year, right? Like, that dude's...
Well, I don't want to tell Cody, but I did his training for his game, and Devin McCourty has said that this is his last season.
That's unfortunate.
So Cody's going to be looking for a free safety.
Yeah,
They might be.
Yeah, the Browns might be the number one rushing as a team. I don't know. I honestly haven't looked off the top of my head. They're good. The Pats are good. The 49ers are good.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not going to... It takes 2 seconds to see who's... Yeah, Browns are number one. And then Niners, then Cardinals, then Rams. Pats are down at number 5, which is surprising. But I guess, you know, it's one guy on the Pats doing all the rushing, so...
Wyrick is selfish.
Yeah, Wyrick is a jerk.
Yeah, once they...
All right, so we can hop into the all-rookie, all-pro.
Yeah. You'll start with all-rookie?
Yeah, always start with all-rookie. Let me pull it up real quick.
This is the only one that matters.
This is the one where Sam got most of his players, so of course he'll say that.
100%.
So, controversial decision at quarterback. We are going to... No, just kidding. We're going to New Orleans. We're not going to Detroit. Trey Lance is the all-rookie quarterback. This was down to Lance and Purdy. It came down to Purdy's 10 fumbles compared to Lance's 5. They had almost the exact amount of yards if you combine rushing and receiving. A couple more touchdowns. I think 3 more touchdowns for Lance. 4 more ints for Lance, but then, the 5. It was really close. Like, this was one of the ones we took the longest on, but, congratulations to Trey Lance,
Yeah,
played a great season.
Yeah, honestly, he had a better season than I thought he was going to. I was really just kind of hoping he would be like a middle of the pack starter. Ended up being top 10 in passing touchdowns plus rushing for over 1,000 yards is just really nice. So I can't complain. Honestly, all the rookie QBs had really great years. Between this and rookie running back, we even had a debate about that, but this is definitely, I would say, the toughest rookie position that we debated on.
This or linebacker, our edge class would be the two that were the toughest. So I'm going to skip running back right now and just go to flex so I don't have to come back. It's Travis Etienne. This was really a 3-person race for running back, half flex, and flex between 3 guys. It was down to Etienne, Zamir White, and Najee Harris. Etienne rushed for 1,150 yards, 7 touchdowns. He added another 500 and almost 50 yards through the air. So he had a really good season for a rookie. He put a lot of numbers up on, and then only 2 fumbles. That's really good for a rookie. 75 broken tackles. So Etienne's well deserving of this spot.
And he was honestly Trey Lance's safety blanket all year. Usually young QBs that their tight end will kind of be that security blanket. For Lance, it was Travis Etienne the whole year.
Yeah. So as I said, it came down to 3 guys, and we're going to skip right over the Miami Dolphins, even though I will say, I probably could have fought harder for my own guy, but I had other things I had in mind instead, so...
It was political. It was a savvy political move.
Yep, I gave that one up for a different thing. Zamir White had 1,377 yards, rushing 8 touchdowns, 78 broken tackles. He didn't add much through the air, only 360 yards, so... He didn't really help through the air, but rushing the ball, you can't... he averaged 5 yards per carry. You're not going to see that. And I'm going to go ahead and do his upgrade right now, since I'm here. He's going to go to Star Dev. I don't know what... I would have done your guys, but I'm not sure what order we're going to do for traits. So, guys who I know are just getting Star Dev. There you go. Star Dev. Congratulations to Zamir White. He's got a bright future ahead of him in Chicago, especially now that he's star, he's got a really good chance next season to get superstar dev.
For sure.
I think.
Congratulations to Zamir White. Well deserved.
Yep. All right, let's go to wide receiver, and we will go to Jacksonville. That's the Jets. And we'll start with the first receiver taken in the class, Jamar Chase. Balled out this year. 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Added another 21 yards on the ground. That's not really a big deal. Only 1 fumble. Dude was an absolute monster. I don't think there's much more that needs to be said about him.
We both have been skeptical of Blair's moves as a GM on this podcast. He made a really smart move this year, playing Goff instead of Cam the whole year.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That helped Jamar for sure. I still don't like taking Jamar when you look at what he has here, but he felt like this was the best player available and he took him.
Yep.
And I commend that.
Yep. And when the worst thing you can do is take a really good player like Jamar Chase and then put him in a bad situation. And that's what he kind of was in for the first quarter or so of the season. And then he made the change to Jared Goff and it really paid off.
It wasn't even that long. It was 1 game. I think that he played.
Game? Oh, I thought it was more than that.
I think he made that move after 1 game.
Fair enough.
Oh, look at that.
Either way.
Oh, maybe a couple. He played 5 games, but I don't know how much of that was like if Goff got hurt because he only threw for 583 yards. So,
right.
We can go to the next wide receiver. Vince, you're gonna be pissed at us, and I'm sorry. I fought for Waddle and was sadly I lost. And it came down to Seth Williams had more touchdowns and only a couple hundred yards less than Waddle. He had 200 yards less and 3 more touchdowns, and that's what it came down to for us. So Seth was really good for, what did you get him, like 4th round maybe? 3rd or 4th round?
No, he was first.
You took Seth in the 1st round?
It was actually the 2nd round. I took Schwartz in the first. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, whoa. And I'll go ahead and give him his star dev since he's a normal.
While we're here, this wasn't a random case with us valuing touchdowns over yards. Like, this was consistent throughout, and that's going to be reflective of some other all-pro selections as well. So it wasn't.
I think it's reflective, and I think it's first team all-pro. You'll see it really quick into that. So congratulations to Seth Williams. So now we're gonna stay in the AFC or NFC South, and we are. Never mind. We're gonna keep staying in the, and we're gonna move to the Falcons, and we're gonna move to tight end Pat Freiermuth. 820 yards, 4 touchdowns. It was down to him and Kyle Pitts. It was like an 11-yard difference, but 2 touchdowns for Freiermuth put him over.
Yep. Really nice pick here for the Falcons.
Yeah, this was a great pick. Like, Oscar, good job. I know this season didn't exactly go the way you wanted it to, but great job with Freiermuth. Like, he was an absolute stud.
Yeah, and the thing was with Freiermuth, it didn't really matter who. It didn't matter if it was Matt Ryan or Teddy Bridgewater. He seemed to perform no matter who the quarterback is. So that's really nice moving forward for Oscar because he's going to need a QB in the future here pretty soon because Matt Ryan's old.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at the 2 Bucks players. We'll go through the offensive line really quick because there's not much to say on the rookie side. Leatherwood gave up 4 sacks. Mayfield gave up 4 sacks. So there are our rookie guys. We'll go to the Dolphins. And we'll go to Drake Jackson gave up 0 sacks. Could have made a case for earlier, but there were guys who gave up 1 sack whose teams had better stats. And we'll go to the Pats with Jake Gordon. He gave up 4 sacks. And then to the 49ers with Penny Sewell. He gave up 5. So it was, honestly, it wasn't like last year where we were just throwing darts at a board for the offensive line. There were some really good young offensive line this year. Last year, we were just taking guys who, I think, we had a guy who gave up 13 sacks because he was the only guy who played.
Yeah, and that was a good point that I was going to bring up. This year's offensive line class is actually really good, which is really encouraging for a lot of teams that invested in that offensive line. The guy that I guess you can make an argument for why he should be on this list is Jake Gordon. Jake plays on arguably the best offensive line in football, and he definitely benefits from the other guys around him. But
for sure,
he still played really well.
We screwed Cody we screwed Cody at some other offensive line positions, so we'll take this one. Yeah, we did. We did. I definitely was throwing random guys out there. There's one in particular where I think we definitely screwed Cody, but I'm cool with it.
That's what it's all about.
I want to check. I don't know if the Bucs left guard is a star yet, and if he is, I'll just go ahead and take care of that. He is, so we're good. Moving on to the edge, and this was our probably outside of quarterback the most contested spot on this all rookie team. We're gonna go first off. We have Quincy Roach from the Dolphins. This is where I made a bold political move to get him instead of Harris. 77 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks, a deflection, fumble recovery, and a touchdown. The guy who got passed up, and I want to give a shout out, and I know we've talked about him a few times, is right end Aiden Hutchinson. He got hurt, and that really hurt his candidacy. He had more sacks, but 9 less tackles for loss, 40 less tackles. He had the 1 forced fumble and the 1 recovery, but I think if Hutchinson would have stayed healthy, this wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have even been able to make the case, but it sucks. And
yeah, it does suck that he got hurt. I would still argue you could have a case between Twyman and Roche. I think Twyman ultimately
similar.
Yeah, Twyman has more sacks, and Roche has more tackles for loss.
So Jalen Twyman is the other guy. We didn't say that it was, but 50 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 13.5 sacks, and a forced fumble, and a recovery for 2 yards. This edge class is another thing that I think is really promising going forward. There were, the top 3 guys were all really good, and you don't see that a lot with rookie edge rushers in Madden that often. Last year we had a couple guys, but I think it was pretty clear last year who the winners were.
Yeah, honestly, this rookie class with the front 7 as a whole is really good, not just the edges.
Yeah, for sure. So we can move off the edges. Congrats to me and Cody for... Shut up, Kevin. You're still going to lose. So you get 1 win and you ruin your... I guess you don't have any picks anyway. So first up for the interior defensive line is Marvin Wilson.
Woo!
9 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 72 tackles, 1 interception return for a touchdown, and 4 forced fumbles.
Yeah, you said it on State of the Franchise today. This was probably my best pick in the whole draft.
Yep.
In terms of...
Without a doubt.
Just in terms of value, if we redraft today, I got Wilson at, I believe, 9, I think. You could argue if we redraft...
I think it was actually 11 or 12.
Okay. You could make the argument that he could go, top 5.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Where did he was drafted? 13.
Okay.
So, So really good pick by you. And then our other interior lineman is from the Browns, and we have Christian Barrymore. Barrymore. He was 13 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 59 tackles total, and 1 forced fumble. Really good season for this dude.
Oh,
Really helped out,
just an
with
absolute
the Browns.
like think about this for the Browns. You already have a guy in Myles Garrett who gets you a ton of sacks, and now you bring in someone in the interior like Barrymore. Like just just a complete
Yeah.
luxury. Like the Browns are just set for the next what? I don't even know. Like at least
Long,
8 years at pass rusher.
long time. Yeah, they've got probably for the rest of this man. So congrats to the Saints and the Browns there, and we can move on to the Rams. We've got Micah Parsons. Had 193 tackles, 4 sacks, 10
Jesus.
tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, 11 deflections. Honestly, could have made a case for him for one of the 2 All-Pro teams, probably second, just because the guys in the first team were like pretty soundly up there.
Yeah.
But great pick by Corb, taking him at 6, or maybe 5. I think he might have taken him at 5. Just an absolute monster, and Corb has his middle linebacker for the next
cycle.
14. Yeah, this entire like he never has to move off of him, because even when he gets older, I mean, this guy's probably gonna peak in the mid to high 90s, and he'll fall, but his speed will probably come down a little bit, and he'll still probably be one of the faster linebackers.
Yeah, and he just, I mean, to take a basketball term, he just filled up the stat sheet this year.
For sure.
It was honestly awesome. Like I wish I could have tried to trade it up again to get Micah Parsons.
Right.
But
Right.
really good pick by Corb.
Yeah, congrats on that, Corb. So next linebacker is Chaz Surratt for the Packers. 141 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 9 deflections, 2 interceptions. I mean, his stats are really good, and they're comparable outside of tackles to Parsons, and he added the 2 interceptions, which is huge. Great pick for Will, and then you pair him with Leighton Vander Esch now, and that's a deadly combination at middle linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's another one. He's probably set for this Madden cycle in terms of linebackers, which is really nice. That's really nice luxury to have.
Yep. So the last off-ball linebacker comes from the Chargers, and here's another guy who now has his middle linebacker set for the rest of Madden with Dylan Moses. For the Chargers, we have 140 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, and 8 deflections. I mean, another really good pick, and I don't think any superstar dev. He got him at 18, and he's comparable to Parsons going 13 picks higher. Like, this is just, like, and then you add him with Kenneth Murray. Like, that's just an outstanding duo.
Yeah. Back in the draft, Moses going that late, I thought he went a few spots too late. Like, I thought he should have gone. You can make the argument he could have gone at least in the top 12, and he probably would have gone higher if we didn't have that run on quarterbacks at the beginning of the draft. Like, a guy like Moses definitely gets higher.
I think the run on quarterbacks, and then there was a little run like with Chase, Rondell Moore, and Rashad Bateman going, so that caused Moses to fall. But great pick by Phil. So congrats to Phil, Will, and Corb for their all rookie selections. Moving on to the defensive backs, corners, and safeties, we're going to go to the Bengals, who have Eric Stokes, who was really, really good for them. I'm going to go ahead and give him star dev. 4 interceptions, 10 deflections, 1 tackle for loss, and 72 tackles.
Jeez.
Just really good for a rookie, especially when you look at there were 2 superstar corners taken in the first 15 picks.
Yep.
And then, and neither one of them had the kind of numbers that Stokes put up.
No,
I don't even think
not.
combined they had as many interceptions as Stokes. So awesome pick for Cirilio. The dude had bad luck this season with his team being kind of terrible, but he made a good draft pick there.
Yeah, probably doesn't take away the pain of finishing last in the division when he probably should have. You can make the argument he probably should have won this division.
Yeah,
but getting that did help.
So moving into another team in the AFC North, we've got Paulson Adebo. He had 3 interceptions, 13 deflections, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 98 tackles. Just an absolute stat sheet stuffer.
Yeah, I really wanted this guy in the draft, and I gambled, and I was like, nah, he'll be there. I can't remember who I took, but he ended up. That's when the Browns took him, and I was like, I'm probably gonna regret that pick.
Yeah. And so then the last DB is from Jacksonville. And it's Asante Samuel Jr. And we talked a lot of sugar about this guy when we were doing the season preview. He had 2 interceptions, 8 deflections, a half a sack, 3 tackles for loss, and 102 tackles. So all around, just a really good player.
Yeah, I mean,
for Blair.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, again, at that DB spot, kind of fills up the stat sheet a little bit. I know he only had, I just lost it. He only had 2 interceptions, but 8 deflections is good. 102 tackles is really nice.
Yeah.
He's going to be a really good player for Blair going forward.
Yeah, so congrats to Blair, congrats to Cirilio, and congrats to Tyler. I always get Nick and Tyler confused, and I don't know why. I think I just do. So going to the safeties, we have the hardest name in this draft class to say.
That dude from the Bears.
Hamsha Nazarilideen, superstar safety for the Bears. 2 interceptions, 2 deflections, 1 sack, 6 tackles for loss, 123 tackles. All over the place for the Bears. Yeah. You can, if you've got anything to say about him, I think this is a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument that safety was kind of the most underwhelming, position in this class,
for sure.
In terms of
for sure.
The top guy had a 2nd round grade. So to have, the Bears guy do what he did was really impressive. And then we'll just move on to my guy, Andre Cisco. For me,
yep.
He had 2 interceptions, 11 deflections, 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 143 tackles. He was a guy that I took him because I was like, well, if he's one of the last superstar devs, might as well. I'm going to need a safety at some point.
Right.
And he ended up being, honestly, my 2nd most important defensive player, I would say. And I just kind of got him toward the end of the 1st round. So the safeties are really playing above their weight so far in this Madden.
For sure. And we got a comment in the Twitch, playing Hamsha 2 times a year. I can tell you that he's a future Hall of Fame player. That dude was all over the place. Yeah, and I want to point out, Cisco also made a Pro Bowl, which, that's
Did he
pretty
really?
good. Yep.
Dang,
So
I didn't even,
you'll get that. You'll get that Pro Bowl boost. So moving on to the special teams.
Probably not. I think you have to be whatever.
So moving on to the punters and kickers and return specialists, we have Blake Mazza. He went 33 for 36, And we'll also, this is where Jalen Waddle made, he did make a all rookie. It was just that kick returner. So he averaged 25.3 yards per return. So congrats, Vince, and congrats on both those guys. I guess, yeah, both those guys were yours. And then our punt returner was Puka Williams. He averaged 5.3. So congrats to Oscar there. And then for punter, we had Max Duffy
Duff Daddy.
from the Steelers. Yeah, Max Duffy from the Steelers. Congratulations. That's you got an all-rookie punter, and he gets star dev now. So, I mean, you get that. So that'll help get him up to a 77 by the time he's ready to retire.
Unless you
I
want to train him up.
focused.
You want to focus
Unless you
train
want to
him.
focus. I actually did last year focus train a punter for 2 seasons, but it was because he was a superstar. So
Jesus.
he was a 90 for most of the end of last Madden. Like,
That's pretty awesome.
I was like, well, I never have to do anything with anyone else.
Yeah.
So, we can move on to second team All Pro. I'm pretty sure that this guy was our first team All Pro quarterback last year. Russell Wilson.
No, Matt Ryan was, I believe.
Oh, that's right. It came down to second team. It was Russell and Murray.
Yeah.
That's right. So Russell had 4,700 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, completed 69% of his passes. Dude's an absolute stud.
Yeah, and you could honestly make the argument that he should be first team.
Yeah. You're not going to win that argument.
Yeah. Led the league in passing. Just had another really solid year.
Look, I'm with you. I think that Russ probably deserved a little more love for first team, but again, touchdowns ruled all for us.
Touchdowns matter, and he had a lot, but not as much as the first team guy. So, second team is still really good.
Yeah, congrats. So we did switch this, right? Like that's what we came to.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't agree with it, but whatever. So your second team running back is Raheem Mostert. Let me scroll up. He rushed for 1,500. I don't think that's right. I think he had more. Did he not have more than that? Is that where he ended? Oh, it is. 1,586 yards, 14 touchdowns, 1 fumble, average 6.4 yards per carry. He didn't add anything in the passing game. That was what held Mostert back. Still really good season for Mostert. He was awesome for Chris. Like, he's probably going to get superstar dev when the dynamic dev stuff comes out after the Super Bowl week, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would agree. I would be really surprised if he didn't get superstar dev.
Right. So congrats, Chris. Just a great season for Mostert. So moving on to the wide receivers, we're going back to Seattle, and we've got DK Metcalf with 1,220 yards and 6 touchdowns. Had a great season. There's not much more you can say about it.
No, for sure. He had a really nice year, and him and Russell Wilson obviously have a really nice connection.
Yeah, Russ, you've got probably the best duo in football. So, as far as ratings go, I think you would. So, congrats. You've got a few more seasons of these two tearing up the league. So,
and then we'll move on. We'll give one of the only times we're going to give the Panthers some love on this podcast. We got DJ Moore at the other second team All-Pro wide receiver. Had just under 1,200 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. I know Kevin's record isn't what he was hoping it would be, and I'll say this and let you gloat for a couple minutes. But you did call it, Kyle. You called the Panthers a pretender, and they started out really hot and ended ended pretty cold, and now Kevin's.
He did win a wild card game, so he's got that over me.
There you go.
I don't think it really means much. I think it's kind of, you beat a Washington team that I don't think either one of us thought was really that good. I mean, I thought they were okay. I thought they
Washington was streaky is the term I would
Yeah.
use for them. Like we saw it in the playoff game with Haskins. Haskins has days where he can be a top
right.
10 kind of guy, and we saw today that he did what we're used to seeing from Haskins.
Right. So moving on to the flex, because I don't really I'll talk smack later on when we get to first team All Pro about Kevin. Aaron Jones for the Jets as our flex had 1,524 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. I don't think Pode could have asked for much more from him.
Oh,
honestly.
definitely not. No, and I mean, I kind of said it at the beginning of the year. I was confused why not more people were kind of trying to bid on Aaron Jones.
On him.
And
well, I think Will really hurt his value last year by starting A.J. Dillon down the stretch.
Right.
I think that kind of hurt. I think that because, but yeah, no, you were right, though. More people should have been in on Aaron Jones.
Yeah, really solid year. The Jets as a whole had a really good year.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
13-3. Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats, Pode. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season an AFC East team was the number one seed, I would have said, yeah, Cody.
Yeah.
Nope. Jets.
Well, even if you said, hey, the top team in the AFC East finished 13-3, you were like, okay, that's kind of what we expected from Cody.
Code. Right. So, moving on to tight end, we've got Blake Jarwin for the Dallas Cowboys. Had 984 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Just an awesome season, and I'll go ahead and give him his star dev.
Yeah, and while
congrats
you're doing that, it came down between Blake Jarwin and Trey Burton, but again, keeping with the theme, Jarwin had a few more touchdowns than Burton had.
Yeah.
Even though Burton had, I think it was 50 or 75 more receiving yards. So
it was 200. It was 200 more.
I thought it was a little closer than that.
It was going into the last week. It was 70 or something, and then I don't know what Jarwin did that last week, but
okay.
Burton ended up with about 200 more, but 5 less touchdowns.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we'll move on to left tackle, which if we had
hold on 1 second.
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Will just pointed out. I didn't know that Surratt wasn't star dev. That's my bad, Will. I will go ahead and give it to you right now. I apologize. So you can go ahead and go ahead with your left tackle. So.
Yeah, we don't have a most improved player award, but if we did, you could argue,
absolutely.
You could probably argue it could be Mekhi Becton for the Jets.
Gave up 9 sacks last year. Cut it in half.
Yeah, only allowed 4 sacks. Played just over 1,030 downs. Really nice production at that left tackle spot, protecting Dak Prescott this year. So good by you, Pode. You got 2 guys on second team All Pro.
Yep. And so left guard, again, we can kind of just Shaq Mason gave up 4 sacks, was part of a top 5 rushing unit. That's pretty huge. Here comes the surprise, I think, of the first team at least. Will Clapp, the 67 overall.
Yeah. Will Clapp.
He gave up 1 sack, which is, why I said we could have made the argument that Drake Jackson should have been second team, but, Will gave up 1, and the offense was a little better in New Orleans than it was in Miami. So, and then another Pats player, we have Joe Thuney. You've got, at right tackle, I skipped it. That's my bad. Gave up
Classic.
Gave up
skipping
5
over
sacks.
Will's players.
five sacks. And then right guard, two-time All-Pro guy. I think he was first team last year.
He was too.
Rick Wagner gave up 2 sacks. Played just under 1,020 downs. So congrats, Will. Like, you got yourself a really good offensive line.
Let's go to the defense.
So we can move. Yeah, and let's go to a guy who we talked about his running mate earlier, and now we'll talk about him, Myles Garrett. 23 and a half sacks, 15 tackles for loss,
Jesus.
1 deflection, 1 forced fumble, 80 tackles. Awesome. I don't know what else to say, man. Just amazing.
Yeah,
how good this dude is.
It's Myles Garrett. I mean, that's all you really have to say. Is this the CM upgrade show? Yes. Yes.
Hey, I can only hand out what I gave your guy. Oh, you know what? I skipped your kicker though. He should be star dev too.
Granted,
You're right, Vince. You're right, Vince. You're right.
Yeah, it's one of the perks for being.
I am giving out upgrades just to people who have normal dev, so for their places. So yeah, we were talking about Myles Garrett though. Any other year probably would have been first team All-Pro.
Yeah, I feel like we say that every year about like 2 or 3 guys. Hey, if this was a normal year, you would have made it. You would have made better. You would have either made All-Pro or been second team or first team.
Yep. So moving on to Arizona, we have Carl Lawson. Had 17 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and 77 tackles. This dude got traded for a mid-round pick and has been an absolute steal for Roy.
Yep, absolutely. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh man, I guess we can move on to interior. I guess I blanked out all the people who won last night because we've got Matt Ioannidis. Jesus Christ, he's a 90 overall?
What?
Ugh.
Is he really?
Yeah. I think he's actually an 88, but with 2 morale. 17 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 56 tackles. Great season for Matt.
Who Cody also didn't have to give that much up for, I don't think, from what I can remember.
No.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap.
This is
pretty cheap.
This is your weekly reminder to please don't trade with Cody. If you're going to trade with Cody, please don't trade any of your good young players. It's not worth it.
So this is a guy I kind of actually had to fight for. He wasn't on the initial list of guys that were being considered. Kenny Clark, he had 11 sacks, 27 tackles for loss, 64 tackles, but he did have 3 safeties. So, and safeties are kind of fluky. It's just a product of where you end up getting the ball back.
Right.
Against.
To me, the 27 tackles for loss.
Right.
That's unheard of.
Right. So, congrats to Tyler, Roy, Will, and Cody, for their front 4 guys. Awesome job, guys.
And now,
moving on to
this is what we've all been waiting for.
This is the surprise, I think, of this is that Fred Warner, who was first team All-Pro, had one of the greatest seasons by a linebacker in history of would have been the history of the NFL last season. Gets second team. He had 206 tackles, 2 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 24 deflections though. And if he could have turned those deflections, 1 or 2 of those deflections into interceptions, he probably would have had a spot on the first team.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%.
So congrats, Chris. Fred Warner's an absolute stud. Here's a surprise, I think, because I don't think people realize how good this guy has been. And that's Cole Holcomb for Corb. He had 191 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 15 deflections, and 2 forced fumbles. Had a really good season.
Had a great season.
I didn't even realize this dude was X Factor. Like, wow. You know, he had a decent season last year. The 5 interceptions, you know. If he could turn some of these turnovers into touchdowns, that'd be nice, you know. But, hey, good for you, Corb. Like, you've got yourself a really good linebacker there.
Yeah, and then the other...
Yep.
I'll share a personal story about this guy. I hate this person. Like, I hate our last pick. It's Reuben Foster for the Washington professional football team. And as you all know, I'm a big Auburn fan. This mofo was committed to Auburn for over 2 years, got a tattoo, got the AU logo tattooed on his arm, and then on signing day committed to Alabama. I hate this guy. He broke my heart, and I hate that he got this award. But it's Reuben Foster is the last spot. 185 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 3 picks, 15 deflections, and 2 forced fumbles. He's a monster. Absolute monster.
Yep. Had a great season. Congrats to Chris, Corb, and to Rebel. Like, you guys had some really good linebackers. You know, the sad thing for Reuben is he's 28 years old, so this will probably, like, here you get your star dev here. I didn't even realize you were only normal. You get your star dev, but, you know, this might be his last year getting up on this list with some of the young guys getting better.
Yeah.
So we can move on to corners. And the first guy is near and dear to my heart.
Your boy.
It's Byron Jones.
Mr. Big Fin himself, Byron Jones.
Had 6 interceptions, 12 deflections, 5 tackles for loss, 99 tackles. Had like 174 return yards and a touchdown. Had a really good year, considering, you know, that he was the only guy. Oh, Caleb Farley, you're suspended for next year. I'm so sorry. On this team who was any good in the secondary, really. So,
next guy is for Chicago, J.C. Jackson. Had 6 picks, 14 deflections, 1 forced fumble, 2 tackles for loss, and 81 tackles. Just a solid year. Definitely deserving.
Yeah.
This Bears secondary is, like, quickly looking better and better with the safety that we mentioned earlier on all rookie plus J.C. Jackson. That's going to be really nice to have in that division with Trevor Lawrence.
Yep, Trevor Lawrence. You know, eventually the Vikings are going to have to go out and get a new quarterback. You know, Jordan Love. So it's nice to have there. And then we have Denzel Ward, 5 interceptions, 1 deflection, 1.5 sacks, 5 interceptions, 15 deflections, 1 tackle for loss, and 93 tackles. So, had a really good year. I mean, you pair him with your first team all rookie guy, you've got a good foundation right there.
Yep, absolutely. So this guy, we'll move on to the safeties. I just want to say this. I really fought for it's not even my dude, but I really fought for this guy to be on first team. And Roy, I really tried, but I was just outnumbered here. It's Isaiah Simmons for the Cardinals.
Yep.
2 picks, 8 deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 1.5 sacks, 12 deflections, 175 tackles. So the big thing here was Simmons plays a lot of his time in the sub linebacker position in nickel and dime, which some of the other CMs thought boosted his stats. That didn't bother me. I didn't care. But
I think it boosts his tackles, but I also think that the guy who ended up on first team, it's not like he was a slouch. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it definitely, like, you could make the argument, and those tackle numbers are crazy for Simmons. Like, I mean, this guy is an absolute stud. I mean, first team last year, second team this year. He's probably going to be a fixture of this all-pro team, I would imagine. You know what I mean? Like, I just think this guy will probably be
I think
first or second team all-pro.
Yeah.
All-Pro every year that we have this, unless like some crazy safety comes out in one of these draft classes.
Oh, you mean like Andre Cisco? What? I didn't
Well,
say
I mean
that.
like I mean like I'm talking like because Cisco's raw like attributes don't match up
No.
to like a 93 speed. Like that's just insane. But so moving on to the other second team All-Pro safety, and it's Devin McCourty. 5 interceptions, 1 deflection, 1.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 131 tackles. Dude's a stud.
Yep.
Um,
For sure. Just what's new?
Twinkie, I don't hate you. I'm just doing something. Jeez.
Is Twinkie getting on you for something?
He offered me a trade in a different league, and I'm in the middle of this, so I'm not like really looking. I wasn't looking at my messages. I just saw that you said I hated him, and I was like, Twinkie, I don't hate you. I love you, man. Come back to me. Yeah. So McCourty had a great season. He, like I said, he said before the playoffs that this is his last rodeo. We'll see if that actually holds true. But he had a great season for Cody. So,
Yeah, even if this is his last season, someone's just going to trade him. They're really good safety.
Yeah.
For nothing.
So to the special teams players, congrats to Cody, Roy, me, Tyler, and who was the other? And Spaz. Second team All-Pro kicker, Chris Boswell. Missed 1 field goal. He'll get his star dev upgrade. So now you've got star devs at both your kicker and punter, kicker and punter.
Nice.
Steelers. So
don't have to worry about special teams anymore.
Yep. Punter was Johnny Hecker for the Rams. He was our first team punter last year, I'm pretty sure.
He was.
Yeah. Good season. He averaged, if I can find it, 48.5 yards per punt. Then we have, for the Patriots in the kick return, we have Javion Hawkins. I don't know what position he plays, so bear with me. I'm going to guess receiver, but nope. Is he one of Cody's? Yeah, he's one of Cody's 75 running backs.
Of course.
He was a rookie, so. And then making his return to second team All-Pro punt return, Jakeem Grant.
He's back, baby.
He averaged 5.2 yards per return and had a touchdown. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, congrats to me. So now the list that I think everybody's been waiting for
the brand.
the most. We have first team All-Pro quarterback Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
You guys hate me and just trade Cody Deshaun Watson for 2 years in a row. God damn it. 4,150 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 66% completion percentage. Had himself a really good year.
Yep. When we said we counted touchdowns more than anything else, this is what we were talking about.
This wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking about the wide receivers.
I was talking about this.
He had a touchdown. Kevin, shut up. Booing me and shit. Yeah. I guess we can just stay here and we'll just do all Cody's offensive players real quick. Thurman Wyrick had 1,831 yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, 4.9 yards per carry. Sorry, guys. This guy's going to be really good for the entirety of Madden.
Is he still... The last time I checked, it was like week 16, but he was still the front runner for the MVP. Is that still... I'm assuming that's still true?
Yep,
He's probably going to win the MVP? That sucks.
Yep. He's going to win the MVP. And then we'll go to Cody's wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. He only had 981 receiving yards, but he had 13 touchdowns. More than anybody else in the league. Dude was an absolute monster in the red zone. And I hate all of you for trading Cody your best players. So, like, if you guys could Yeah, thanks, Sam. You created a monster.
What did
You're
I
right,
do?
Corb.
I didn't do
You
anything.
created Thurman Wyrick.
Oh. Well, I can't help that that's who Cody chose.
Okay, if anybody wants to be mad at anybody about Thurman Wyrick, be mad at me because that's who I told Cody to choose. Cody was gonna pick one of his defensive ends, and I was like, why wouldn't you just pick Thurman Wyrick? So it's really my fault.
There we go. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take some heat off that. So congrats to Cody for Deshaun, Thurman, and Stephon Diggs. Moving on to the other wide receiver.
Imagine
we'll do that
having
real quick
3
and then-
All-Pro, first-team All-Pro offensive players, and you came and won your own division.
Yeah, imagine. So we'll move on to the other wide receiver, and he was also first team All Pro last year, Julio Jones. 1,340 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. Dude's an absolute monster.
Again, doesn't matter who's throwing in the ball. Julio's going to catch it.
Yep. So congrats, Oscar. And then we'll move to tight end, where we've got George Kittle. 1,120 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. He led the league in receptions. He had 118 receptions. Dude was a monster.
Yeah, good for Chris. I mean, Purdy loves him some George Kittle, so I imagine that's probably going to continue.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, congrats to Cody. Oh wait, actually, let's do this one real quick, the flex, and then I'll do all my congrats.
Because this one changed.
This guy, yeah, this one changed. This was Mostert until the last week of the season when Alvin Kamara went absolutely off. 1,552 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, 4.8 yards per carry. And that's not even including what he did through the air. The dude, he had another 553 and a touchdown through the air. Guy was an absolute unit for Washington. So, I mean, not much more to say.
Almost regret trading him, but I don't.
Yeah.
No regrets.
You've got ETN. Yeah. So, congrats to Rebel, Oscar, Chris, Cody, and that's it. Because Cody had 3 of those guys. So, moving to the offensive line, we'll go to another surprise. Rookie Alaric Jackson out of Iowa gave up 3 sacks, played almost 1,070 downs. Go ahead and give this dude a superstar dev, I guess, because I hate myself, and I'll just do it because I'm here. And
if you'd have told me,
there you go.
If you told me I had 2 All-Pro offensive linemen at the beginning of the year, I would have said you're high on black tar heroin. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But here we are.
So, moving on to the best offensive lineman in the NFL.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I said it. I've said his name probably 100 times on this podcast, and I'll continue to talk about him. Wyatt Davis. There are other guys who you could make the argument maybe could have been first team, but Wyatt Davis gave up 0 sacks on a team where Tua drops back and stands there forever. Wyatt Davis never gave up a sack. So
I will not let you fall. I will not let you fall, Tua.
The only person on the team worried about Tua's health other than Drake Jackson was Wyatt Davis. Everybody else was like, "Oh, fuck that dude." So, and then heading to the Panthers, we have Marcus Pouncey. Gave up 0 sacks. Played almost 1,030 down. So congrats, Kevin.
Yep. Good job, Kevin. We'll give you this one.
Everybody gets one. Brandon Brooks for the Eagles gave up 1 sack. Played 1,080 downs. Like, that's really impressive. And then for right tackle, this is where I think we might have screwed Cody, just because his offense definitely was better than Tampa. But Tristan Wirfs gave up 5 sacks. He's another guy who made huge improvements from one season to the next,
True.
like Mekhi Becton.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
congrats to Larry. Congrats to Ryan. Congrats to Sam.
Woo.
Congrats to Kevin. And congrats to me. So, yeah. We can move over to the most ridiculous. Yeah, I'll do it. You're still in the playoffs, though, Kevin. I'm trying not to give it out if you're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like,
pipe
I'm trying
down.
to give it to dudes who are eliminated.
Pipe down, Kevin.
Or it's Star Dev. Like, Star Dev, I don't care about for the playoffs. I don't want to give you an advantage over other guys. So, edge rusher. Jesus. This man. Let me find him. He was right outside linebacker.
Montez
Samson
Sweat.
Abukum.
Oh, we're doing that one first?
I guess we could have done Sweat first. Yeah, let's.
We can do whichever one you want, boss.
We'll do Montez.
Broke the stat record, apparently.
Yeah, 24.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 6 D5 tackles, 6 forced fumbles.
Yeah, I called the Washington defensive line the best young defensive line in football. We might have to take out the young part. They might just be the best, especially if Sweat is just going to break the sack record every year from now on. We might as well just call them what they are: the best the best defensive line in football.
Yeah, they are. This is a. I mean, I'll go ahead and say this is without a doubt. I mean, you've got 87 X Factor Montez Sweat. You've got 88 X Factor Chase Young. You've got Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, superstar Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne. I mean, this is just absolutely the best defensive line. And it's not close.
How did I know this is a little off topic, but how did Chase Young do this year?
Let's look. I mean, we're here. We might as well take a look. See, I think it was okay. I don't think it was great. Like 10 sacks, 9 tackles for loss.
Okay, all right.
But no, 1 forced fumble. He had a decent season. It wasn't fantastic, but I mean, if you're looking at a team that's got a chance to be really good just based off their defensive line, it's this one.
Right.
Their defense could turn around an entire game. So now, since I've already given it away, Samson Abukum, 23.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 73 tackles, 3 deflections, 2 forced fumbles. This guy was amazing, and
just unstoppable the whole year.
Steelers got a steal for this dude. I don't think they gave up much to get him from the Rams, but this guy's the future of, you look at this. This is another team that's got a really good pass rush because they've got T.J. Watt, Cameron Hayward, Stephon Tuitt. This is another team that you could say has a claim to best defensive line.
Agreed, 100%.
Yes.
We can move to the.
So we can move
to the
interior.
Golly, we'll start with DeForest Buckner for the Colts.
Yep.
I mean, 22 sacks for an interior defensive lineman. 10
tackles for loss.
Yeah, 10 tackles for loss, 77 tackles, 8 forced fumbles. Just
guy was a monster.
Yeah, just an
and I mean
wrecking ball.
I know he didn't get it, and I talked about him earlier today on the state of the franchise, but Taquan Lewis had 19 sacks. He had a claim. If he had more tackles for loss, I think he pushes Kenny Clark out of there. But Kenny Clark had 24 more tackles for loss than him.
Right.
And we've got to give some love to run defenders because they don't get a lot.
They don't.
But this is these two guys, and Taquan's old for only being 4 years in the league, but this still can be a really good building block for the next few years.
Absolutely. The other guy is Quinnen Williams for the Jets. 21 sacks. He's the one who had 15 tackles for loss, 74 tackles, 5 forced fumbles. Looks really, really good for Pode.
Yep.
If Pode can
feasted
get,
on my
if he can get another guy
offensive line
on that defensive line, like,
I mean, he kind of has it in Fautus Kaza. Like, he's not like great overall, but he's another guy who could have gotten some love here. I guess not. I guess he just feasted on my team again. He had 6.5 sacks against me. Oh no, never mind. It was Luvu who I was thinking of. I knew he had a weird name. 11.5 sacks. Just another good pass rushing guy. But yeah, Quinnen Williams is. You pair him with Jadeveon, and you've got a really good rush. So, congrats to Pode, Steelers, Lee, and Rebel, because that's really good. You guys have some really good pass rushers. So now, for the first team All-Pro linebackers, we can start off in Chicago. You want to go ahead and take this one, because I'm going to have to talk about this next guy a little bit.
Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah. So Roquan Smith for the Bears, 215 tackles, 5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 11 deflections. When you talk about filling up the stat sheet as a linebacker, this is what we're talking about. Like, He just does, he can do anything you want on the football field. He's so good against the run. He's pretty good in pass coverage with those 11 deflections, 5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss. And we'll just say it again, this Bears defense is all their best players outside of Khalil Mack are young, and they're only going to get better. So if you're in the NFC North, especially looking at you, Will, that Bears defense is really good, and they're going to be a problem.
Yeah. So I fought for this guy last year. He didn't get it, and he came back and he was better this season. Jerome Baker had 206 tackles, 5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 11 deflections, a forced fumble, 2 interception returns for touchdowns. Just all over the place. There wasn't much he could do. He added 13 tackles, added a sack and a half from last year, 2 interceptions. He really came back and played a lot better this season and that's crazy to say, because he was one of the first guys out of second team All-Pro last year.
Right.
This guy just, I talked about it earlier today on the State of the Franchise. This guy has the chance to be really special for me. But we can move on to the last of the outside linebackers if you want.
So
this guy is another guy who had a great season.
Absolute stud, Tremaine Edmonds for the Bills. One of the only Bills defensive players didn't get traded away this season. 191 tackles, 4 sacks, 21 tackles for loss, 6 deflections, and 5 forced fumbles.
Yep.
That's crazy. I know the Bills aren't good. Their record wasn't that great. They're kind of in rebuild mode, which is a shame for Edmonds, because he's putting up all these stats. But, he had a really nice season. I would definitely keep him around. I think, he's a guy you can probably have for this entire cycle, and he's still going to be relevant.
For sure.
And he's only going to get better as well, so I expect Edmonds to be a constant name on either of these lists.
Yep, I think so too. So congrats to Sean, Spaz, and me. I was like, who is the Bears?
Yeah.
Moving
on to
we can move
the corners.
DBs.
Speaking of a guy who probably isn't going to be
first
on
team.
These lists that much longer.
Well, I think we've got 2 or 3 more years of him
We'll
showing
see.
up.
It's Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
First team last year, 10 picks, 12 deflections, a sack, and 70 tackles.
I just want to talk about something real quick because, like, for the last 2 years in this Madden, he has put up 10 interceptions each year. So he has 20 interceptions just in Madden, like, in the last 2 years. That's ridiculous. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I just that
okay.
number just that number just is shocking.
Yeah. I mean, Gilmore anchors arguably the best pass defense in football.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 interception ties him with the league leader with another guy we're going to mention here in a minute. But
yep.
I mean, all kidding aside, like, Gilmore's still just an absolute freak. One of those guys where you honestly just can't even throw to his side of the field, or else he's probably going to pick it off.
Yeah, don't throw slants. Like, don't throw quick slants, like, against Gilmore, because
I will say,
it really...
I wonder how much Gilmore gets boosted by the fact that he's playing with De'Aaron King and Tua in his division. That's all I'm going to say.
He had 2 against me this year. I don't know how many he had against
that's
De'Aaron, but he only had 2. Yeah, but that's better than last year because I'm pretty sure Tua threw him like 6 last year. So, so the next corner, we're gonna head to a guy who used to be in the AFC East and is now in the AFC North, and that is Trey White. He had 7 interceptions, 7 deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and 87 tackles. Like I said, this is a really good secondary, and especially it's only going to get better with Stokes getting that star dev.
Right.
So, that's really good. And he gave up a lot, I guess, to get White, but I still don't think it was enough. Like, I thought it was a little low, but it was, the value was close. But...
Yeah, that was one of those, I think we all agreed it was an underpay, but it wasn't egregious enough to veto it. So, really good.
Five picks by Rodgers, or 5 picks on Rodgers for Tre'Davious White. So, damn.
Oof. Well, there you go.
Hopefully he can keep playing Rodgers going forward.
Right.
And then the last corner on this list is the one that I disagree with, but I got outvoted. Byron Jones is better than him, but Dante Jackson, he had 6 interceptions, 18 deflections, half a sack, and 84 tackles. I've been on the record thinking I didn't think he was good enough to be a number 1 corner. He's proved me wrong this year, so good job, Kevin. You can shove that one in my face, I guess. As long as you don't win a Super Bowl, I'm okay with it.
Take all the first team pros you want.
Yeah. You know what, Kevin? He had 1 more touchdown. Like, get out of here, Kevin.
Jones. Scrub Jones. I'm gonna start calling him that from now on. Scrub Jones.
I'm gonna drive to North Carolina, and I'm gonna take you outside of a Bojangles and not get you any food, Kevin. It's gonna take me a long time.
Take him to Chick-fil-A to get better food.
I've never had Bojangles, so I don't know.
You're not missing much. It's not great. It's fun.
So we can move on to the safeties.
Hi. What you doing? Do you want to turn? Do you want to talk? Winston would like to announce all safeties.
So this is the guy who beat out Isaiah Simmons and Adrian Amos. He had 7 interceptions, 15 deflections, 2 sacks, and 119 tackles. And yeah, you can make the argument that the tackle numbers were better for Simmons, but Amos had 5 more interceptions, and it just had a great season for Will.
Whatever. I'm still disgruntled about it, but
yeah. So we'll just hop over to the other all-pro safety, and it's Minkah Fitzpatrick. He had 10 interceptions, 9 deflections, 1 sack, and 134 tackles. Like you said, tied for the league lead in interceptions. Yeah, just an all like this Steelers defense was a thing that we talked about last season, like, and he really went out and addressed it. Like adding Lattimore and Hilton to this already really good secondary, like, really helps. This is a team that outside of quarterback, they're pretty set for the future.
Right, absolutely. And back to corner, you could have even argued that Marshawn Lattimore deserved a spot on one of these lists. He was on the second team. He was one of those guys for me that was just missed the cut.
Yeah, he was right there. He was probably I think he might have been the last guy cut off the list.
Yeah.
So congrats to Cody, congrats to Will, congrats to Steelers, congrats to Cirilio, and congrats to Kevin. So now for the most important list.
Yep.
The special teams players, and we'll go back to Will here with his rookie kicker, Blake Howbile.
When you literally don't miss a field goal, there's no way we can't put you on first team.
Yep. So congrats, Will. That's awesome. Punter is a man near and dear to my heart, Matt Hake. I'll go through his stats. I can't give him his upgrade to superstar, but
Will's so excited about his kicker.
So Ake, he had 44.6 yards per punt, 40 on the net, but he had 3 inside the 20 and only 8 touchbacks. And you could have made an argument for J.K. Scott here, but he got 3 kicks blocked, so sorry. I think Hecker was good, but I don't think Hecker had Hecker was second team, and I don't think he had as much as many inside the 20, and I think he had more. Yeah, I mean it was 4 more and 2 less touchbacks, so it was close. It was really close. Yeah, but he had the 3 blocks, which I was like, nah, man, we ain't doing that.
Can't get your kick blocked 3 times.
Well, yeah. I haven't had a single one blocked. This isn't Madden 20. You can't just be getting kicks blocked for no reason. So we'll go to
I fought for Greg Little. I just want to point that out.
He did, but
again, outnumbered. What you gonna do?
Yeah. So our kick returner is Kari Vincent Jr. from LSU. Had 26.8 yards per return. Had a really nice season. So congrats to Nick for that.
Does
Will's
kicker get superstar dev for making?
Yeah, once he's out of the playoffs.
Okay, yeah. Pipe down, Will. Once you're out, you'll get it. Which you won't have to wait very long.
You win. Yeah, you win the Super Bowl or leave me alone, Will. And then the last spot, punt returner. I don't know what position this dude plays, so give me a minute. He must be a corner, because I don't know who this dude is. So nope, I can't find this guy. He doesn't exist. He's on the Seahawks, right?
He's strictly a punt returner.
Oh, there he is. Chris Magana. He averaged 6.4 yards per return. I'll give him star dev because, he's a punt returner. Who cares? But congrats to me, Steelers, me, Vikings, Will, and Seahawks. Yeah.
Congrats to everybody. Something I did this year, I made a list of how many selections, how many total selections the teams got, and I'm going to start doing this from now on just because I like to see from year to year kind of how teams develop and whatnot. So for this year, the Bears, these are total selections over all 3 lists, so first and second team All-Pro and All-Rookie. So the Bears had 4 total selections, the Bengals had 2, the Bills had 1, The Browns had 4. The Bucks had 3. The Cardinals had 2. The Chargers had 1. The Cowboys had 1. The Dolphins had 7. The Eagles had 1. The Falcons had 3. The 49ers had 4. The Jags had 2. The Jets had 3. The Lions had 2. The Packers had 5. The Panthers had 3. The Patriots had 11. The Rams had 3. The Saints had 7. The Steelers had 4. Seattle had 3. Washington had 3. And the Vikings had 1. So a pretty good mix. Honestly, outside of the Patriots.
Yep, and you know, you can point to, like, for Sam and I, it was a lot of rookies getting a lot of love. So that's how, like, you know, when you have 100 picks between two teams, they're gonna get a lot of the rookies on there.
Yeah, for sure.
You had a rookie. You had Micah Parsons, Corb. Micah Parsons and Cole Holcomb both got linebacker spots, all pro 2 and all rookie. So we can look at these other games. Oh, did you have 3 on there? Did Rams have 3? Who was the third? I don't even know who the third was.
Rams had.
Oh, Hecker.
Oh yeah,
Hecker was all pro too.
Yeah.
No, your punter. He had all pro too. Your center. I don't know who your center was.
No, if your center's not Will Clapp, you didn't get on the list.
Yeah. So we can take a look at these other playoff games.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Browns. Yeah, but my rookie gave up 0. Corb, that's why he got it over your guy. Browns beat the Ravens, and I guess now is as good a time as any to say that this is Utch's last game in the league. So sorry to see you go, Utch. We do have somebody ready to take over for him right away. So, but Browns move on. This is the second year the Browns have come in and won a wild card game.
Yeah, who I know the Cowboys and Seahawks game just kicked off like a couple of minutes ago. Yeah, about 6 minutes ago. So we'll be done with all these wild cards in about an hour or so, which is really nice. So we can move on. Did anything stand out to you in terms of? I wasn't too surprised by any of these, to be honest. I guess if you want to argue. Well, not even Cleveland over Baltimore, to be honest.
I mean, Daniel Jones coming in and winning for the Browns is kind of a surprise. And the fact that Daniel Jones out-dueled Lamar Jackson by 80 yards and had a touchdown.
Jeez.
You know, Lamar did add, 109 yards on the ground. But then, I mean, you look at the two-headed monster here. 146 rushing yards between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Yeah. Is really good. Defensively, let's see, Christian Barmore with 2 sacks. Looking at the raw stats, you would probably say that Baltimore should have won, but yeah. I mean, the Steelers beating the Titans doesn't surprise me.
No.
Because I think the Titans were... they're not bad, but I mean, Matt Breida, 164 yards and 3 touchdowns. That trade really working out for the Steelers right there.
Whatever. He should be a Saint. I was gypped.
You didn't offer enough.
You didn't even.
Because I put him on the.
You didn't even.
I put him back on the.
No,
I put him on the block after I picked Harris. Yes, I did.
I know, but at that point, I already had ETN. So what was I gonna do?
Right. Well, I didn't know Harris was gonna fall to the end of the second round. Like, I figured he was a mid-first, late first, maybe early second pick at best.
You did it on purpose.
Yeah,
I know it.
I did. You're right. Why would I do that? Because then I could have had ETN.
Whatever.
So I guess we've got Steelers and Jets locked in for the second round. That's
gonna be
is
so
a really
fun.
That's a really good game. So
That
that would mean that we have Pats will travel to Cleveland to play the Browns after beating the Broncos. So that's
yeah,
a repeat of last year's divisional round game also.
yeah. I want to go back to the Steelers Jets matchup. Like that
Yeah,
on paper
that's
should be a super fun offensive game, but we all know how much Dak likes to sit in the pocket and Rodgers likes to sit in the pocket. So
yeah. We could see.
I wouldn't be
We could see.
surprised if this is actually a pretty low scoring game.
Uh, yeah. I that's a tough one to pick too. Oh man, like I want to pick Steelers for that game, but I also don't want to have to eat a hat if somehow the Panthers also win and then they both end up in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I really don't want to eat a hat. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna pick the Jets to win that game and Pats. I think we're gonna end up in all AFC East, AFC Championship.
I'd like to see it.
Um, and so I think Cowboys are the low seed here. And then Niners. So if the Cowboys win, we'll see Cowboys versus the Packers. If the Seahawks win, we'll see Niners versus the Packers. And that's not a good thing if your team is the 49ers who played the Packers in week 17 and lost 55-6. So yeah, you really hope the Cowboys win that game if you're the Niners, because Jordan Love had their number. 4 touchdowns for Jordan Love against the Niners last time. So
How are you gonna let Jordan Love beat
throw
you
for
up?
4 touchdowns? I can't wait to play Jordan Love next year because the AFC East gets the NFC North. I can't wait to get my ass kicked by Jordan Love because my team sucks, but it's okay. I'll talk shit to Will regardless.
There you go.
So yeah, these playoffs have played out probably Washington, Carolina. I probably would have picked Carolina to win that game. 5 turnovers for the Redskins is, I mean, you held Baker to 168 yards and only 100 yards rushing from Christian McCaffrey. But you can't win when you're throwing 4 interceptions and adding a fumble in there for,
Right.
2 fumbles by Haskins and he lost 1. So, yeah, and Trevor, I'm going to lose every game next season. It's part of my plan. I missed out on a top 5 pick again this season because somebody didn't win at the end. So I'm getting real salty about being the worst team in the league and winning 4 games, and not getting a top 5 pick. Like, it's real frustrating.
Have you considered trying to? Oh, hey, I got pick 5. I just looked at mine. How about that?
It's not right. It's
Dang
not
it.
right. Because it says I have. I'll look real quick, but I'm pretty earlier today. It said I had pick 8, which is impossible. I have pick 6. Like I'm locked into pick 6, but it says pick 8. We can go through and look at that too, because we will do a mock draft.
Yeah, we'll do mocks probably
So-
probably once the Super Bowl is over and we really have time to kind of look at the draft class.
Yeah. So Lions have the first pick again. Pulling a Buccaneers from Madden 19 because I did this in Madden 19. Congrats. I didn't take a quarterback the first time. I took him the second time around. Texans will... So it'll be between the Texans, Chargers, Vikings, and Saints for 2 through 5. So whoever ends up... So one of those teams could end up with the number 2 pick. One of them's going to end up with the number 5. We'll have the Dolphins locked in at 6. Bills, Rams, Giants will have 7 through 9. Bears, Falcons, Raiders will have 10 through 12. Jags locked in at number 13. Bengals locked in at 14. Chiefs and Colts for 15 and 16. Cardinals and Bucks for 17 and 18. So, Ravens will have 19. Titans 20. So yeah, Washington will have 21 or 22. Eagles will have 23. So, we've got a lot of the draft class order figured out. And again, if you guys, once the class is up, if you guys want to send in mock drafts, we will do them on air with our mock drafts.
Yep.
Yep.
You want to know how you tank? You go 1 and 10 in your last 11, like I did. That's how you tank. You really got to go for it.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Russ just said Madden can suck it, so let's see what that's all about. Just see what this game's looking like, because that could... 7-3. It's still close. I don't know why Russ is telling him to suck it, but yeah, guys.
Let's see how it pays off for him.
So thanks for coming out again, guys. Always a good time doing these all-pro, all-rookie. I want to point out that I think we only had 4 teams who didn't reach the streaming, requisites for... Yeah. So, a lot of teams were a lot of teams were pretty close. Chiefs... the Chiefs only had 5, and they would have been a team that would have had a few guys who definitely would have made the list. I do this every time, but I'm going to do it again. Hey, Raiders, could you be a little bit more active, please? He had 7 streams, though, so he's beating Chiefs in that regard. If you guys can just, even if you just ask your opponent to stream it, it's a good way to get some dev upgrades if your guys, because there were a couple guys on the Raiders, too, who I had on my list, who then I had to take off because they didn't meet the threshold. Ravens were another one. So,
yep. Same
but yeah,
super important. I mean, there's only 4 teams, so that's obviously a huge improvement over season 1.
Yeah.
So good job, everybody, in that regard. And like Kyle said, if you can't stream yourself, because we all have other things to do in our lives besides Madden. So if you can't stream a particular
Speak
day,
for yourself.
I mean, if
kidding.
If you don't have time to stream, get your opponent to stream. These rewards, especially for young guys, are just super crucial.
Yep. And the other thing I guess I'll announce here is I haven't tallied the dragon stuff yet, but dragons will last year it was anyone. This year it's moving to just rookies. It'll be a rookie symposium. It'll only be rookies will be eligible for dragons. So because Madden draft classes have been really bad compared to what last year's was, so you'll be able to use your dragon awards on rookies. So it's going to be huge. Even if you just do a few tweets or whatever throughout the year, it can help you get a dragon or even a normal to star, which the normal to stars will be huge going forward, because if you take a guy at 5 or 6 overall and they end up being normal, you want to be able to, get them that dev upgrade to help them be better, so it's not a wasted pick.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, I think I don't have anything else. Do you?
No, I don't.
All right, well, good luck to everybody else that's still in the playoffs. Good job getting those wild card games in, and as soon as the last game gets done, we'll advance to the divisional round. Thank you guys for tuning in, and congrats to all the guys that made the all-pro teams, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.